everyone, and welcome to EntrepreNINES. I'm John Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We are two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time, and this podcast is a space where we are inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. This is episode 33.
33.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! And we are, like a little over 2 weeks away from Work Like a 9?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little bit.
So
about 20-ish days.
20-ish days.
Well, when we're recording this, but then we're squeezing it in, guys.
Yeah.
Full moment.
Yeah. We're this one's
for tomorrow.
Just getting it in. Yeah. So, but we are going to stick on kind of like the topic of Work Like a 9 up until our launch. Mm-hmm. And today we thought that we would kind of bring to you our experience with online like groups, coaching groups, mastermindy type of things, Facebook groups, like kind of like any group that we're a part of that we've gleaned some benefit from, that we've been able to contribute to and be an active part of, that we see like the benefits of, and kind of say like, these are some of the reasons why we thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, we're inspired by it. Maybe before we get into that, just a little recap about Work Like a 9 is going to be, one, it's a monthly co-working group, and we want to invite you to come be a part of it. It's online on the internets, starting September 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is $9 a month to participate.
Yep. And
you can sign up right now at entrepreneurs.com. That's the quick summary. If you want more, it was the last episode that we talked about it in detail.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we've done a couple episodes now where we've talked about just the idea and then kind of where the idea came from and some of the inspiration. But the last episode definitely is more so tailored to what does it look like? What's it going to feel like? The nuts and bolts. Yes, for sure. Yeah. But like I said, today we're going to talk about like what is the benefit of a group like this, and we're just going to speak from personal experience, because that personal experience again is what led us to want to do this in the first place. Yes. So Bonni, we're talking beforehand, is maybe a little bit more of a online group junkie,
maybe
than I am, but so just give us like a 50,000 foot view of the types of groups you've done, kind of what they've looked like, that kind of a thing.
Okay, so I'll just do in the last year because I was just thinking about this further, and I've been a part of a lot of like professional development style Facebook groups over the years, especially when we were in the ministry track. There were some really good ones. But in the last year, things I've been a part of. I was part of an online book club. And those were spiritual development books, and it was great. And we read a book. We read 4 books. Okay. Over a span of 9 months, and met monthly to like talk about the book and the discussion questions and all of those things. And that was great. It was a variety of people, mostly men 30 years older than me. So that was fun.
That is fun.
And then I have also joined like a mastermind group from a group coaching that I was part of back in 2018. I did like this getaway 6-month women's coaching group. I wasn't away for the whole 6 months. Right. At the beginning and the end, I got away. And then in the middle, we did online leadership coaching. And now they kind of have put some alumni of those 6-month groups together and mastermind. So I'm a part of that, me and 3 other women. That has sort of molded itself to be a book club in a way too. So when those 2 book clubs were overlapping, it was a lot. And then last, like there's just an old friend that I keep up, and we're both building coaching businesses, and we talk monthly. Yep. And I thought there was, now I'm part of this internship that there is a monthly coaching group for that too.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So
like we said,
I'm in a few.
You're just in a couple.
I'm in a few. Small handful.
That's okay. I think that says a lot about the benefit that you see from them, that you see yourself getting out of them. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, John?
So I actually just wrapped up a 12-week coaching group. It was the first time that I'm calling it the first time I like actually put money into myself, and because I put it into myself, into my business, because it was specifically for video production company owners or people who have founded video production companies. A lot of the people probably would have walked in to the group saying that they would have titled themselves filmmakers, or, not so many probably would have called themselves videographers. Probably most would have said filmmakers or DPs, which is short for director of photography, which is a weird title, but that's what any kind of the main person behind the camera on any movie, large or small, would be called a DP. So they might call themselves a DP, they might call themselves a director, but most of them, I think by the end of it, are now understanding, like, in order to have some longevity in this business, like, you need to consider yourself a production company, not just an individual role.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it's a very niche group of people, but super, super helpful in the sense that I think what I'm walking away with from that group is that, I wanted to know how to keep my business sustainable over a long period of time. And, while we walked in with some very technical thoughts about that, I think we all walked out with, like, much broader answers to a lot of questions we had. So that's my primary spot, I would say, so far. Now I'm involved in a lot of, like, Facebook groups that kind of all shoot back to that niche, I guess, but they're all a little different in kind of how they approach things. So one of those groups is where this coaching group came out of, and it's mostly documentary based storytelling. But then there's other groups that are more on the business side, and I would say, like, highly tuned to that in the sense that they're not always salesy, but they can be. They can just feel a little bit more salesy. The focus is maybe less on the story or the video that you're making, and more on, like, how to sell that. So they kind of range, but I would say I'm decently active in all of those groups, and some of those groups have led to jobs and have led to, connections that that I have now. So that's cool. So so we'll get into some of the benefits. I mean, that's like what we're going to get into today, but that's the general overview for me. So
for what you're in right now. Coaching Facebook groups, what I've discovered so far, are very salesy. I feel a very little benefit from what I've gotten from them so far, because it's all like coaches being like, who needs a coach? And it's
you're like, we're all coaches, dude.
Why are you trying to sell me? Like, why can't we just collaborate? I guess we don't. Okay.
Yeah. And I do think so. I mean, to kind of turn our attention towards, some of the benefits that we've gotten out of these groups, and also what we hope you get from Work Like a Nine, I think would be, again, like I just talked about, there's groups that are more salesy. You just talked about groups that are salesy. Like,
not that.
That's not what this is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And salesy stuff is not where we're headed. And I think, really, just like, and this may not sound good to everybody.
Oh, okay.
But we basically just determined who our audience is before we started recording.
I don't know that
for Work Like a Nine.
I think we named it.
We knew deep down. We knew what it was. And it's funny because it's like, it's what EntrepreNINES is already.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we didn't just be like, oh, yes, we're naming this same audience for this thing we're doing, but is people who want to build businesses with soul. And so if you're listening, that's probably you.
That's probably you.
Yeah.
You probably already knew. You were like, oh, silly John and Bonnie.
Yeah.
We're
just overthinking it.
We knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So businesses with soul, which is like, I think some of the groups that we're going to talk about that we've already been a part of have probably nourished that part of us more.
Yeah.
Than the salesy groups.
Yeah.
I think some people probably get a lot out of salesy groups. I'm not that personality type.
There's definitely benefits. I mean, there's definitely things I think that can come from those groups that can help you think a different way. especially if you're not a salesy person.
Yeah.
If that's not the way your mind goes, they can help you think a different way. But it's going to feel uncomfortable for most of us who are not like sales driven at heart. So, but Bonni,
John,
give me a couple things that you have taken away from some of these groups that have nourished your soul.
I think the first thing is just like new people with new perspectives. And so, especially when you go solo and you go from like bumping into people in the office, like you eventually get used to those people and you kind of like know what they're bringing to the table and for you personally, and if you're going to be friends or not. But there is something about like being a part of an online group that you're like, oh, I'm going to talk to these people. Like in the office, you can sometimes be like, I'm busy, I gotta go.
Just skirt around them.
Yeah. And so there is this part of it, of these groups, that it's like, okay, no, I am in with these people. These are the people who are here. These are the people who also want what I want out of this. And so like I am building my capacity to like even just relate to people on it. Like I said, the book club that I was part of.
With the men that were 30 years older than you.
Right.
Yeah.
So not a lot of common ground,
right,
aside from apparently we like to read spiritual formation books, right?
Yeah.
So cool, but like our life experiences are so vastly different. And
right.
But it would lead to like good conversation and seeing things in a different perspective, and them offering like, well, here it is from a father's perspective, and here it is from an adult daughter's perspective. Like all of those things were kind of cool. So I think that's probably the biggest benefit for like the soul building part, is just continuing to bump into people in a new way, and not being able to like, I gotta go, okay, bye. I am the queen in person, John. This is a rabbit trail.
Tell me, buddy.
Of ending conversations quickly and awkwardly.
Okay. All right. I think I've probably known you too long to feel this, but tell me more.
I'm great at it.
You're great at it. Okay, bye.
Like, we were on a neighborhood walk, whole family,
a
few weeks ago before school started. And we're walking along, and all of a sudden, here's another family in our neighborhood, like full family. They're out.
Yep.
Similarly aged children. And we're talking, and I realize I've met the like mom in the group before, but like Mark has never met the guy. I've never met the dad in the group. And like Caleb knows the little girl, but Caleb was being awkward and like hiding behind a tree that was too skinny to hide behind. Like I didn't want to talk to the little girl.
Nice.
Anyway, I was just like, well, gotta go cook dinner after like 2 minutes, and was never, oh, this is my husband, Mark.
Yeah.
Who's this person that you're with? None of that.
Yeah.
We all just sort of pretended that this is how people interact.
Right.
And then I was like, gotta cook dinner. Walked away. And we get like 3 more houses down, and I'm like, Mark, I don't understand why I just did that and didn't introduce you.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like that was weird.
I mean, I do think that there's just, I don't think you're alone in any of that. I think there's just times where our brains are not working fast enough to like meet the need of the perceived need of the moment or whatever.
Yeah.
but no,
I don't know. I'm better
okay,
online.
Bonni.
I can't run away from the conversation.
Hey, and sometimes we just need to feel trapped, right? I guess.
Something like, I know you're here on purpose and I'm not interrupting your schedule. I think that was the 9-ish part of me of like, oh my gosh, they were on a walk. Now I'm slowing them down.
Yeah.
Gotta go. But like they stopped. I don't know.
I think you're pointing out something really good though, which is like for an online group, it's easy to choose to not be there, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's easy to choose to just not show up.
That's true.
Whereas like when you're walking down the street, right? It just kind of happens. Like those things happen. You stumble into them, which means that like if you are showing up to an online group, like there's an investment that you're making with your time, most cases with money. And so like you could just walk away.
Yeah.
But then I think you're already recognizing in that walking away that like you're losing something.
Yeah, for sure.
By walking away.
Right. Like the chance to say
this
someone's
is my
name. I learned so awkward, guys. If you ever bump into me in a public place and I'm totally awkward.
Yeah.
It's not you.
It's not you. It's Bonni. Which again, I don't think you're alone in any of that. I don't think you're alone. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I would say, from primarily this coaching group that just ended, I identify a lot with the differing perspectives. I think that, when the group varied quite a bit in experience and and just geographically, like all over the US and then even some people from Europe. And so like just very different geographically, very different in motivation for like what they want to do with their careers, so being able to like, and I wasn't sure at first, like what I was going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But the more people talked, I think even though the motivation maybe for the career is different, pretty much everybody who is there primarily because the Facebook group that this came from has already fostered a group of people and a culture that says like, we want you to kind of like be able to achieve your passion project. We want you to be able to achieve creating a documentary on your own and get paid for it and have it seen by people. Like we want you to, and we want you to be able to do all this and, still have a family life and still, we want you to be able to do all the things. How can we foster that? And so I think that was an important foundational level thing, which again, for the Work Like a Nine, foundational level is,
hello,
we're all here to build business with soul. So yeah.
You hear us if you listen to this chat through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The foundation that has been built over 33 episodes of podcasting.
I was kind of laughing that we celebrate every single time. And I think that's also a good culture indicator.
Yeah.
Every time we say a number, we're like, John and I are both like, wow.
It's so amazing. But yeah, like there's just there's a foundation there. And then on that foundation, like there's multiple personalities and perspectives, but everybody kind of already understands.
Yeah.
At the heart of it, like what we're at, what we're after. So, and I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be your number one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Similar takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think close for me is like actually the practical knowledge, because I've never been a part of like a niche group since ministry days.
Yeah.
It's always been a little bit more broad.
Yeah.
But like I'm still pleasantly surprised about things that I take away each time. And so that's
give me an example. Like, is there something from the like book club or probably more from your like alumni group maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I think that one particularly, like my alumni group of people, is maybe even just like universally the way that we approach our struggles because it's all moms too. We're all moms and that we're in different phases of life or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there is just some like encouragement because some of the moms have like grown children. Like one of the moms just became a grandma very recently. And so just pulling from their experience to be like, yeah, when I was in this stage, I'm stumbling, but the validation, I think, of how difficult it is to have small children and be doing this has been a huge thing that has made me feel like normal. And then some like just practical tips of like, just give yourself a break here, or like, don't be afraid to ask for this, or those kind of things to validate like, oh no, building a business and having really small children, that's very hard. And I'm here to say from the other side of that, that's very hard, you know?
Yeah.
So there's things like that. And then like just the very practical stuff that, you know, we're reading a book together.
Sure.
And we pull this out of the book.
Sure.
So I'm sorry, that wasn't super specific.
No, that's good. I no, that's helpful. I think that I was surprised how many people had young kids in my coaching group. Yeah.
Oh.
And so that was not one that I was going to bring up specifically, but like that is definitely something that like it was like, oh, cool. Like they're killing it. Okay. I think,
We
or
can make it.
like, and I say that in a way of like, they're killing it, but also like they're laying out on, in front of us, like all these struggles and, what they're needing help with. And it's like, it all makes much more sense, And so I think that's super helpful. Yeah. That's a good example actually. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it felt like a good example. I felt rambly in
No,
my words for a minute.
No, it was good.
Great.
Yeah. I think my second one has to do with like, and we've done a podcast on this, which is networking and like finding just a like-minded group of people that you can talk to, you can bounce ideas off of, you can just relate to on a level that maybe some other people you can't. And yeah, I think that's really hard when you're solopreneuring.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make time to be intentional about it, but then also like once you've found some people, then to make time to continue the relationship. And so like, in this case for 12 weeks to spend 2 hours every week, with this group of people, by like probably the 8th week, like there were side chats that were starting to happen.
Yeah.
Like with people who you felt like drawn to and like a deeper connection to. And so like, like myself and it's actually a couple who has a production company. Like
That's fun.
Yeah, we started kind of like chatting on the side. We're gonna have a call, just the 3 of us. And so like, you start to kind of pick up on people. And there's 2 other guys who again were our partners and from Tennessee, and we've kind of started a little chat on the side. And so, there's just, it's not to say like, that the whole group doesn't have, the whole group still has its benefit, but you, just like in any social situation, right? Like you start to get drawn to certain people.
Yeah.
And those relationships can grow deeper and lead to different opportunities and lead to different types of connection. And so that's been kind of cool to see that, while we all were kind of there for each other in our specified time, now as we've kind of gotten to know each other better, outside of that specified time, we're still wanting to have that connection and figure out how can we help each other, how can we work through something, how can we just get to know each other better. So that's been fun.
How big was that group? I think your group is much larger than any of the groups I've been a part of too.
Yeah, there were 20-ish, 22, like somewhere in the range of like 22 to 25, I think. Usually on every call there was roughly 20 people.
Okay.
Which it was that's pretty good, like attendance for
Yeah.
that size of group. But yeah, I would say about 20 people. I think that it's easier maybe sometimes in a group like that to start to pick out some people, that you can say like, oh, I kind of just feel like a stronger connection. Is there something that we can have, kind of a deeper discussion on?
Yeah. Yeah. All of mine have been like 5 to 7 people.
Yeah.
So it is a little harder for the side
Yeah.
conversations to start forming. And I think they have like occasionally, but more often it's a whole group conversation because the group
Right.
is so much smaller.
Right.
So that
Right.
is and I anticipate that to kind of morph as work but like a 9 grows.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start out a little smaller, but
Right.
we may experience that. And
Yeah.
for there to not be shame in that, because I do think sometimes we're like, oh, you left out the whole group.
Right.
No, we're all grown-ups here.
Yeah.
Like there's no need to be offended.
Yeah. No, and I think that's, it's just part of a social
Yeah.
relationship. Like
Right.
there's just going to be certain people who are drawn to each other or who find, even to bring it back to your point, like a more practical connection, right? Like there's a practical, like you're the Enneagram expert. So maybe somebody needs to have a side conversation with you
Right.
about the Enneagram, on a very practical level.
Right.
And like, that's another benefit is like you now have this group of people who really you can start to understand everybody's strengths and weaknesses over time. And, you may want to gravitate to the person who has a strength where you have a weakness, so that you can learn more specifically from them.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm so inspired by many of these things. John, you're the good question maker. Do you have more thoughts?
Well, I was going to say we've given a couple things each of what we've enjoyed about groups we've been in.
Yeah.
What are some of the hopes and dreams you have for Work Like a Nine? We've already
We said the why.
We've already stated why, and we've kind of stated the how, like how things are going to happen. But kind of beyond that, like what do you hope you get from it, and what do you hope other people get from it? And I think we probably talked about this before, but I think it's good to just kind of reiterate it, because I think you need to know our hearts behind it, right, to understand where it's going to go.
Yeah, I think my hope for the whole group is to have a group of really of dedicated, self-aware business owners who are we're all working on our own personal growth, and so we're secure. Yeah. Right? Like we can bring this level of security to our conversations and to our group that says, like, this is a safe place to have a bad idea. Maybe that's it in a nutshell.
Nice. Okay.
Like, Work Like a Nine needs to be a place to have a safe place to have a bad idea, without feeling some sort of shame around the fact that maybe you had a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or not anyone getting offended because you had a bad idea, whatever the case might be. So just this safe place for collaborating, and then also continuing to cultivate the healthy self-awareness that keeps us secure in who we're becoming. That like-minded group of people that is enough to say, hey, sounds like you're overdoing it, my friend. Like, I think it's time to take a beat, or I think you could have probably put yourself out there a little bit. All of these kind of conversations that somebody needs someone in a similar chair to be able to speak into their life with confidence, love, and security. So I think that's my biggest hope for the group.
That's really good. Yeah. I mean, I think mine is on a similar line of, I think, having a safe space for vulnerability, in the sense that you feel okay coming to the group with some of the hardest things that you're going through, or some of the best things that you're going through at the moment, because I think that opens you up again to a different perspective, a different way of seeing things, and hopefully there's a solution there. And like hopefully there's an answer there of some sort, and it may not come the way that you expect it, but I think something that I had as you were answering, something that I was thinking about is like, this is why I'm excited about the Voxer part of it too. Because while we only have an hour to be kind of quote unquote physically together on the internet, like the Voxer channel is, I think, where a lot of growth is going to happen.
I agree.
In the sense that, like, just think of it this way, like as a hypothetical, right? Say you have a big project or a big proposal or a big pitch, that you want to make to somebody, and you kind of work out all the details, and probably like most people who pitch or who offer anything to someone else, you kind of have these thoughts in the back of your head of like, oh gosh, is this right? Am I missing anything? Well, guess what? Like, you throw it in that group, and we are the first ones you're pitching to, or the first ones you're proposing to, or the first ones you're offering to. And we get to say, hey, this doesn't make sense, or hey, this is fantastic, or hey, there's a misspelling. Like even the little things like that, that can help you make sure that when you finally get to the point where you're putting it in front of someone who you're asking them to pay you to do it, you can feel super confident that you've already had that collaboration, and have had people say and give you multiple different thoughts about how it may go. You know, and so you may not, again, have all the answers walking into your sales meeting or whatever, but you, I think, will have a more diverse perspective on what could come and what could happen and how it might land, how it might be received, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And like to build on that example too, I think another hope I have for the group is for us to be able to say when this happens, like, actually, this doesn't sound like you.
Yeah.
Because I do think building a business with soul, like one of the things that I have noticed I have a hard time explaining is that's not me. You know, John and I have both been pretty upfront in our conversations about the right client, the right customer, and how it's not about scaling as quickly as possible or getting in front of as many people as possible, because we don't want to burn out. Like, we don't want to drain our soul part of it. So also for Work Like a Nine to be able to have a group of people that says, John, this is a proposal for a live stream setup, which I specifically remember you saying you would never do again.
Right.
So can you tell me what's going on with you that's making you feel like you need to put together a live stream setup proposal for a group, you know, for us to be able to say like, oh, okay, yes, you're right, I'm worried about this, or it's pressure from this person, and to be able to just then work ourselves. That is such a hard hole to dig yourself out of when you're in a place where you feel like, I have to do this,
right?
You know, and have someone say to you, but what if you don't have to do this?
Right. This is giving me so many ideas, Bonni, for things that we can like approach the group with too already, because I think, you know, there's just so many, there's so many things I think that can come from a group like this. Number one, like, and I think we've learned some things in some of these groups that we've been in already that we can bring, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm sure those of you who are going to join us on this journey, like some of you have already done something similar as well. And there's things that you can bring to the table. But yeah, I mean, I'm just, even on that example, like that specific example kind of came up in my coaching group, our last coaching group. And, you know, we don't have time for it now, but like burn the ships. I don't know if you've ever heard like the thought or the idea of burn the ships. Maybe this is your business nugget for this podcast, but like
give the business nugget.
Basically like the Spartans would, when they would attack someplace, they would go, I don't know if it was the Spartans. It was some warring group of people. So don't quote me on
some
Spartans.
Strong army.
When they would go into some place, when they would land, they would burn their ships, because the only way that they were getting out was to defeat the people who they came to conquer.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah. But think of it this way. Okay. Think of your business. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what are you, what's your goal? What are you aiming at? If there's anything else around that's going to distract you, get in the way of you getting to that point, it's got to go. Yeah. You got to burn it. Yeah. And that was huge. Honestly, like when I heard that last week, I was like, okay.
Burn the ships.
Okay. I've got a couple ships I need to burn.
Yeah.
You know, because there are things that, especially like what you were just saying, like the live stream thing, right? Yeah. Like that's a ship that burned a while ago. Yeah. But it needed to be burned. And guess what? If I bring it up again,
that was an easy one to pick on for you.
Yeah. But if I bring it up again, you need to be like, that ship is gone. It's ash. Yeah. It's gone. It doesn't need to come back, John.
That's good.
You know, so something like that, you know, where you can be a reminder to people of, you know, what they've said their direction is, you know,
or like your hopes and goals too. Cause this is one thing that I think is, okay, I don't know that any of these people are going to listen to this, so I'll just be very honest.
Okay.
Here, now that we're almost 2 years into this business building thing for me, and I have been I admit in my business building approach, I am going very slow because I can. And it's just like a place of privilege where I can work from right now.
Yeah.
People are starting to feel worried about me, I think.
I didn't know this. Okay.
Because I've gotten more requests for lately, like graphic design work.
Okay.
And like, well, what if you just, like, you have this wealth of experience, you know, on the side or whatever. Yeah. like, yeah, I get it. It's true. Like, I appreciate this about you.
Yeah.
But what taking a couple of these jobs has reminded me is like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yep.
And so they're not jobs. I haven't taken jobs. They're like favors that I've done for people.
Yeah.
But it has reminded me like, oh yeah, I really don't want to do this. And so I think that we all encounter like these road bumps in our business journey of like where we can see where we want to be eventually.
Yeah.
And then when it takes a long time to get there and we're still like, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And other people around us are like, well, what if you just...
Right. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Hopefully Work Like a Nine group of people can be like, no, we also believe that you can get there.
Yep.
And like, we support burning your ships.
Yeah.
Whereas the people around you are going to be like, but maybe you need that as a life route.
Right. And it's not, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we can go further into that analogy another time of just like,
whole podcast
there's other
burning the ships.
Yeah. There's other things that you need to take into account before you burn the ships. But, you can't don't just light all your ships on fire.
Or I'm thinking that we need to save for Work Like a Nine group.
Yeah.
That might be a topic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a good topic. But yeah. So, okay. Those are some hopes, some dreams.
These are some hopes and what we've benefited from. Did you say your hopes? I feel like we
did
both...
I not? Did I get off on my tangent?
We both... Yeah, you piled on top.
Oh, no. I did say that...
this is good. We're already forgetting what we said 10 minutes
ago. Well, I got off onto the Voxer thing first from my hope. I did say it. I'm going to find it when we go back and listen. And I'm sure it's there.
Similarly minded hopes.
Yeah.
It is really just what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But I think we, shared what we have benefited from other online groups to say, one, we're not just trying this out of the blue. Like we're doing this because we've experienced a lot of personal gain from groups like this. And two, what we just continue to hope to bring to those of you who are going to be a part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Work Like a Nine begins September 18th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the internet. You can sign up right now at EntrepreNINES.com. $9 a month. Plus the Voxer channel and access to us on a pretty frequent basis. And all of the other people who are going to participate. So, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So. And to those of you who have already signed up, you're the best.
Awesome.
We're super jazzed.
Thank you. Yeah.
You should know, people who have signed up and are planning to sign up, that every time you do sign up, I get a little notification and then I send John a text message that says, another sign up. And John goes,
praise hands, claps, I don't know.
Like whatever emoji strikes him, that's the most powerful one in the moment. Comes through and we get excited. And I've had several people already be like, oh, how many sign-ups do you have? And I tell them, they're like, wow.
Yeah.
So there you go. Thank you for being a part of the wow.
Yeah.
That helps people feel excited.
I mean, here's the thing. I think we understand that we take up a very tiny corner of the internet. And so for us, I think anyone showing up, it's
and
like,
there's already a lot of you.
Hallelujah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It makes me realize that our tiny corner is like the best corner.
Yeah. We have a great corner.
We have a great corner.
And we're just going to like make the corner even better.
Yeah, it is. So. It's true. Because then the corner will talk back.
Yeah.
And we think you're great out there.
Yeah,
anyway.
We are going to have to get used to that, aren't we?
This is really going off the rails. I'm sorry.
Man. It's okay. We've been doing it for almost 40 minutes, which is impressive.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. Well, we got to go, friends.
Okay. All right. So, we will see you next time. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a rating and review. Helps other people find us.
And I'll have all of the show notes, groups that we mentioned, I'll put in there, along with our socials and websites where you can say hi to us and our businesses. So until next time, have a great day, week, night, morning, whenever you listen to this podcast.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.